debug. Sorry. It's okay.
We're good? Okay. So like she said, Instagram is my specialty. And I think we all know that Instagram is like vital for any business. Mm-hmm. And you're all running a business. So it's very important that you are using Instagram and that you're using it consistently and you're growing your network and that you're engaging with people and building these relationships. As a Beachbody coach, your goal is obviously to get more challengers in your group and to be getting more coaches on your team. And the way that you have to do that on Instagram is to grow it and to engage with people. And that really goes hand in hand because you have to be engaging with people to basically grow your page. Like that's what's going to connect with them and make them want to follow you, as well as staying consistent no matter what with posting valuable content, because once you get these people to your page, they need to see that there's a reason to be following you pretty much. So, So this is something, if you're busy, you can be doing this as little as like 20 minutes a day. You can do it an hour a day. You can spread it out throughout your day and do it like a little bit at a time, depending on the time that you actually have in your day to devote to this. It is something that has to be done manually, unfortunately. I myself used a service at one point, but Instagram is really cracking down on third-party apps, and I've seen pages like get banned and stuff. So you don't even want to go there anymore. You want to be doing this manually. So it does take a little bit of time, but it doesn't have to take up like your whole day to be doing it. So there's two parts to what I'm going to teach you to grow your page and to build these relationships, which hopefully would turn into converting to sales. The first part is to build a hashtag like base that you're going to be using to find these people to make these connections with. This part of the process isn't something that you have to do as consistently. It's something that you do want to spend a little bit of time like researching and working on, but then once you have that as a base, then you can do this second part more consistently, which would be daily, weekly, monthly, etc. So to do the first part, you basically have to get together like who your ideal coach or challenger would be. And the idea is somebody that you can relate with, because you're going to be striking up conversations with people. So you have to be able to relate to them on some level to keep a conversation going. So there's like three components to like who your ideal person is. And the first two you kind of worry about once you have the last piece, but the first part would be like an age range that you connect with, because if you're 18 in college, you probably have different things that you relate to than somebody who's in their 30s and has 5 kids. So you write down the age range that you connect with. The next would be gender, which, you might relate to both genders. You might only relate to one or the other. Just something to keep in mind when you're going through people through the hashtags. And then the last part is like, you can break it down, but I kind of put it all together. It's like hobbies, interests, beliefs, and just overall like characteristics of a person. And really it's stuff, again, that you relate to. So like, if you like to go biking, if you like to run marathons, if you like to DIY, if you're vegan or gluten-free, like those are all characteristics. Mom, single mom, married mom, like just so many different components to that. And you just want to get that together as like a base to start building this hashtag list. So once you have that together, that's when you're going to go into your Instagram, to the tags, and you're going to start with something very general. I don't love general hashtags like as like for searching for people really, but it's a basis to build your hashtag list pretty much. So you start with something general, which will have like 20 million, 100 million in their population. The reason why those aren't typically as good is because there's so many people posting constantly. A lot of it is usually like ads or shout out pages, and it's like a bunch of nonsense really. So you don't typically use those for finding your people, but when you go in your Instagram and like I'll do, for example, let's see. If you were going to take gluten-free, for example, it has 29 million posts. When you're in the hashtag, on top of where the posts are, it says related. And I believe there's like 10 related tags to that tag. So you're taking the related to build a list. And then you can go into those, like every time you click a suggestion, you get more related. And it's just to have this big, like overall master list of hashtags that you can constantly be pulling from. So that is the first piece. The next piece is basically like the rest of the process, but you kind of have to do like the first part of the second part, if that makes sense, like to narrow down your master list of hashtags. So the second part of the process is what most people know as 3-2-1. I learned it so long ago, and I'm sure there's somebody who invented it, but I don't know who that is anymore. But the 3-2-1 is to like 3, comment on 2, and then follow 1. The reason you do that is to be popping up in these people's notifications so that they know you exist, right? For me, though, I kind of do something a little bit different than that because I try to do this process to where it seems the most genuine. So I do like, I guess you would say 4-1-1, which I like 4 and I comment on 1 and then I follow the person. The reason that I do it that way and don't do the 2 comments is because I try to think of if I was like naturally just scrolling Instagram, like I would find somebody and I would probably like a bunch of pictures and I might comment on 1 and then follow them. I personally think when you do the double commenting, especially if you do questions, like it can really come off as like some people can see through it. A lot of people don't, but I don't know. And maybe just because I know what I'm doing, I like overthink it, but I do just the 1 comment at first. And then I think that it still works because the second part of this process where you're maintaining the relationship, like you're going to be continuing to comment. So you're basically still doing the 2 comment aspect of the 3-2-1. You're just doing it at a later time. So it all ends up working out the same. So when I say that you have to start that piece of the process to narrow down the list, that's because not every single hashtag that you find in the related section is going to be a good hashtag. You'll find a lot of hashtags are just oversaturated with coaches already. So you're going to start doing the process of going into a hashtag, clicking on the recent, and like going through every post, scanning, making sure that people are not Beachbody coaches already or doing Beachbody programs. And then you'll start to see, okay, this one really is not overly saturated. That's going to go down on your smaller master list. And once you have that smaller master list together, like let's say it's like 10 or 20 hashtags, that's when you can start doing the 4-1-1 process daily. And you can break it up however you want. You can do like maybe 5 people in each hashtag. You can do 10 in each hashtag. You can like if you have 20 of them, let's say you do 10 one day and then you switch to 10 the next day and you like keep switching back and forth. However you really want to do that. As you're doing the 4-1-1 process daily, you want to be tracking who you're following. So you can do that by putting them in folders on your Instagram, or if you like Excel spreadsheets, like whatever works for you. You just want to be tracking these people because the second part of the process is to maintain these relationships, because down the road, when you do end up inviting these people, it doesn't really feel like a cold message. So kind of to recap, you want to write down your ideal customer, client, coach. You want to get that master list of hashtags together. You want to start doing the 411 to create that smaller hashtag list. And then you want to start doing 411 every single day, daily. And you don't want to do this like a week at a time and then don't do it for 3 months, because you're not going to see growth that way. You want to be doing it just as consistently as you're doing pretty much everything else on Instagram. So when you're doing that daily, the 411, the next piece of that would be to maintain the relationship with these people. So you can either, after a week, split your time by meeting new people and maintaining a relationship, or you can just do the reconnecting weekly. But to reconnect, you would go back to your folder, for example, if you're keeping a folder, and you would, if they have a story, react to their story. And if they don't have a story, just comment on like their most recent post. And you want to just keep doing this over time, because you're going to like start having these conversations with people and start being very friendly with them. And you'll see the conversations building in your messages when you're reacting to their stories, and it just will feel very genuine. So, yeah, you want to be doing that weekly. And then I would say after maybe a month, or I don't know how often you're taught to like invite to challenge groups, but every time you have a challenge group or you feel like inviting to the coaching opportunity, that would be the time to do that and to go back to these folders and start inviting people that you've already been talking to and nurturing these relationships over time. One thing that I forgot to mention is when you're commenting, if you can naturally ask a question, that works better, because you're going to be enticing them to respond to you and start that conversation. If I only ask a question, though, if it seems like natural, if there's really something to ask a question about, I try to make this, again, seem like the most genuine as possible. So that's pretty much that whole process. The last like really piece of it is if you're close to 7,000 following, that's like Instagram's trigger that you're spammy. So as you're continuing to follow people, because you're doing it consistently, you also want to gradually unfollow people. And you don't want to do more than 100 a day, and you want to do it at a slow pace. Like, don't sit there and just unfollow 100 people, because I have seen accounts get flagged for that, and they actually got banned for, I think it was a week or 2 weeks, which can be pretty scary. So you want to do it gradually every single day, unfollow as you're following, so that your following list doesn't get too high. And also, to do the unfollowing, I think in the Instagram, it lets you sort by the earliest that you followed and like the latest. So you can go back to like people you followed however long you've had your account, but you can go back to those people and start unfollowing those people first if you want, or you can unfollow the new people that you have in folders. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's getting this hashtag list together, meeting new people, connecting with new people on Instagram, following them, and like nurturing these relationships. That way you can go and invite them. And I've done this on a lot of new accounts, and I know that it works like really fast. So you do start seeing at least the growth to your account. You start seeing quickly, like as soon as the first day you start doing it. The inviting, of course, is going to come with time and the people joining your groups and your coaching opportunity, but that is really just comes with the territory. It comes with, making these relationships and really building them with people. So that is the whole process that I have. I see some questions over here. How big of an age range? I mean, the age range can be, it's really who you feel like you can connect with. If you feel like you can connect with a large age range and have things to talk about with like literally anybody, your age range could be 20 to 50. If you think you can really only connect with 18 to 25, then, keep it there. It's who you can actually relate to is, where you want to keep it. I mean, following, how many people do you recommend following each day? You don't want to follow like hundreds and hundreds, but there's really not time. Like this is time consuming to do because you're hand picking every person pretty much that you're following. So you really can't get to more than 100 people in an hour. And that's if you're doing this like really, really fast and you like get really good at it. So I wouldn't really worry about how many people you're following each day. If you were going to sit there and try to follow 1,000, I would tell you not to do that. But you would have to be doing this process a lot to really reach that like maximum of who you should be following each day. Does anyone else have any questions? I know that was a lot of information all at one time.
I have a question. So the use of hashtags, like for example, if I wasn't a coach, I would never use hashtags. I mean, maybe to be funny, I might, something. So then like, my thought is like, who the people using them are other people selling things or marketing or whatnot. And so this is, how are we finding people that are not in another business or even put off by it? Because like if someone came and did the 3-2-1 on me, I'd be like, why is she liking all my posts? She's just trying to sell me skincare, right? And so I'm just curious, like how, I don't know. Does that make sense?
The thing about Instagram is I was told this too, like because like you're in it right now doing it, selling, and I've done it before, we know what we're doing. Most people really don't know what we're doing. That's why I try to keep the comments to 1, because if you like everything and then you're like, oh, where'd you get that shirt? Oh, where'd you get those pants on 2 different posts? Like, it's like, okay, that's kind of weird. But you might naturally just ask that one question. But to answer your question about the hashtags, I like very, 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 very regular people, I guess, don't maybe use hashtags as much. Like friends of mine use very general ones like hashtag happy day or whatever. But majority of people are using Instagram at this point, not just to sell things, but to grow their own page, thinking that they're going to get brand deals and stuff or, make money that way. So I don't think everybody's selling something necessarily, but they have the knowledge of using the hashtags to try and grow their own page. So you can still find people that aren't part of, some kind of business selling something. And I mean, some people, they might have an Etsy shop, but they're completely not related to fitness. So they're selling something, but you can still, market to them to be a coach. That might still be of interest to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Cool.
So when you are helping people grow their accounts, and let's say you're doing 20 minutes a day for somebody,
Mm-hmm.
how many 411s do you typically do in that 20 minutes?
I'm trying to think. I mean, you can probably get to like 10 to 15 people, 20 people if you're really, really fast at it. It's kind of like, I don't want to say per minute. It does take time because you are scanning the page and you want to make sure they're not a coach. I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing if they're doing like if they're selling oils, they might still want to sell Beachbody, but some people like don't want someone attached to any kind of other company like that. So it does take time to scan. So I mean, realistically, probably 10 to 15 people, 20 max.
Okay.
In 20 minutes.
What would you say? I mean, obviously, however much time you put into this is what you'll get out of it. But what would you say, like, minimum to see change in your business, growth in your Instagram? What would be the minimum time / accounts we should shoot for daily?
I mean, I would say the minimum would be 20 minutes. Like, if you can do 30 minimum, that would be like really my minimum. An hour's the best, and anything over that is like, it does get to be a lot of work in a day, like scanning and doing it consistently. I almost would recommend, if you have the attention span, like more power to you, but I would almost recommend like kind of spreading it out because it can get like really tedious just sitting there scanning and scanning and scanning pages. So if you break it up, that might even work out better for you.
I'm very much a numbers person. So hypothetically, if you scheduled 3 20-minute time slots each day, and your goal was to to do 15 accounts, would you say that's a good daily goal to see some good growth?
Yeah, I
So
would.
every day you'd be 411ing 45 people.
Yeah, 45 to 50 in an hour. You can probably do 50 people.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And you will start seeing them start following you back.
Okay. And I was taking a bunch of notes, so I'm sorry if you said this and I didn't catch it, but
okay.
How often are you unfollowing? Are you paying attention and trying to unfollow some every day, or do you do it like once a week on a certain day?
You don't, if your following count right now is kind of low, you don't really have to worry about the unfollowing immediately. Especially because if you were gonna take the route of unfollowing these new people after a certain time, I would keep them around until you're inviting them and maybe nurturing those relationships. I probably would even start with the people I've followed way first. That way, those might be people you're not really in contact with as much anymore. But I would only do the unfollowing immediately if your following count is already higher. If it's lower, you don't really have to worry about that as much, and you can almost do it monthly. I wouldn't concern yourself with that aspect as much every single day. Okay. It's just when you're in the 4,000 or 5,000 range, you just kind of want to slowly bring it down. And another thing I didn't really touch on, engaging with the followers you already have is also just really, really important. Because if there is this algorithm that everybody speaks of, the more you're engaging with your own followers, the more they're seeing your posts. So that's a very important aspect of Instagram, is not obviously you already follow them, so you don't have to do the following aspect, but going through and reacting to people's stories, because then they'll keep seeing your stories at the top if you're interacting a lot, and just commenting and liking on people that you already follow so that they keep seeing your stuff.
And do you follow the same rule in doing that? So you like 4 of their posts and comment on
people I already follow. I mean, you can still like a bunch, because if you haven't interacted with them in a while, you just think naturally, if I went to my friend's account, because my personal account, since it's so big, I don't get a chance to really interact with my real friends that much. So if I go to their page, I'll like a bunch of their photos, so they know I saw it, and then say something or interact with their stories. So just trying to make the most natural as possible while still doing something that's going to be effective for your business. Anyone else have questions?
You covered how many number, or how many hashtags is too many, right? Like a hashtag that is a good.
Yeah.
Well, I for 2 seconds.
In general, 20 million is usually too much. A good range is 1 million to I wouldn't go lower than 20,000. Even 50,000 starts being kind of low. You'll see when you go in those lower hashtags that it's really the same people posting in it.
Right.
It's not to say that they aren't good, and you might find a couple people in them, but they're not what I would solely focus on. But definitely once you get more than 1 million, then it's you'll see it's very, very spammy, and a lot of coaches, Fit Moms is probably a lot of coaches.
Yes.
So I stay away from those hashtags, but 500,000, 300,000, those are all good numbers, goals for a hashtag. Okay. For the population that it has.
Okay. And then as far as I think you hear on Instagram so often, post once a day, and then just be in your stories all day long. And I agree with that. I see the value in it, but I also feel like if you're a newer person, you kind of have to make a presence also. You have to be in both. Would you agree that it's best to be posting and be in your stories?
I mean, if your account is fairly new, I might, like if I was a brand new Beachbody coach and I was going to start a brand new account, I would post a lot before I even try to start doing this so that people have something to look at when they come to your page.
Right.
As you grow, it's definitely like I wouldn't do more than once a day. And, you know, being in your stories, doing the polls, really utilizing all the features that Instagram has. They reward your account if you're using their features. Like IGTV is huge. And like the way that they're going, because they're kind of wanting to compete with YouTube. So the more you're utilizing all aspects of Instagram, the more they bump your account up too.
So if you already have a following, do you think it's bad to post more than once a day?
I don't think it's bad. I think it's whatever your followers are used to. Like I wouldn't post 10 times in one day and then not for a month. But I personally, I mean, I'm pretty lax about my personal account, honestly, but my goal is generally once a day. They don't expect more from me than that. But my stories, like I'm always in my stories, like I even just posting memes and stuff, like just because you keep popping up to the top of their page.
Why are you so mad? Sorry.
What other questions do you girls have?
Just a monkey.
Come on, what are your burning Instagram questions?
This is a little random, but like for the polls and the question boxes, all the things that we use in stories where people can react and respond, if we are getting like the spammy ones, the ones that are obviously bots, or like this hairstylist in Dallas just keeps every single time, and I'm like, I swear I've blocked her. And it keeps coming back. I'm like, I don't want you anymore. Is it do us any good to block those or report them or like get them out of our?
Wait, what is the like bot account doing exactly?
Like answering your question. You're like, hey, do you want to know more about this? And they're like, hey girl, I love your style. And you're like, no, you're not a real person.
I've never seen that, honestly.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it really matters either way. What you wanna make sure you don't have is like ghost followers. Like if you click on someone and they have 0 posts or 0 followers or whatever, and they're not engaging, because while it's important to have the following count, because you do have more of an authority on Instagram, if you don't have engaging followers that are quality, there's really no purpose, because they're not going to convert anyways, and you're not going to have a good engagement rate. So getting out ghost followers is really important. Bot followers are just annoying. So and if they're spammy and you know that the whole account is like that, I mean, it's probably not going to hurt to get rid of them.
Okay, then on the same lines, like, so I have like my warm market people, and they've been following me forever. Now those people, it's like I've reached out to them, they don't respond, or they don't whatever, but they're still following, they're still watching. Does it matter if I unfollow those people? Like they're still following me, and I'm like, we've talked 4 times, you're never pulling the trigger. I unfollow them, and I still see them watching my stuff, but like I'm trying to like weed those people out from my following number.
Doesn't matter in what regard, because I mean, it doesn't matter it's not going to hurt your page. If
Right.
anything, it just lowers your following count. So it makes your page look better, so to speak.
Okay.
But it wouldn't hurt your page. Yeah. And they don't typically know that you unfollowed them unless they have one of those third-party apps, and those are getting people blocked, and even on their Facebook pages getting them blocked. So I feel like less and less people are using those anyways, and they wouldn't know unless they unfollowed you too. So it's probably fine. If we are a new coach, are we to make a new Insta page? The rule of thumb is when you're starting a new page, it should have a theme. So I would create a new page for fitness, or take your personal page if you already have a bunch of followers and turn it into your like fitness page and start like posting stuff like that. I mean, you're supposed to, as a Beachbody coach, if I remember correctly, kind of show who you are and the fitness aspect of it but it's still going to be more kind of geared towards your workouts and stuff. So I personally would at least make your personal page like that whole theme of what you're doing and not just post like randomly. If that makes sense.
So quick question on the stories part of that. And Kim, you alluded to this too, but talking about posting your stories all day long, like all day, or like can you hit it at like peak periods of time? I can't be in my story all day long and be at work too. So how do you make that happen?
I mean, if you don't have the time, you can only do what you can do. So I think it's just important to daily have your little, I think they call it avatar, like lit up so that people can click on your story. If you can only do that, you know, in the nighttime hours, then I think that's fine as long as you're posting there and people can still come to your page and see that freshness too, along with your posts. So if you can't post all day long, then you just can't. You have to do what you're able to do. But I think as long as you're posting a few things, like sometimes I'll post, if I'm up in the morning and I know I'm going to be busy, like if I'm looking at like memes and funny stuff, because that's like what's okay for my personal page that I run, I'll post a bunch of stuff back to back, and then I don't really post stories the rest of the day. So I think that it still works. It works in the same way.
And Julie, I think too, like having, you know, a lot of times take a bunch of photos. Like I say this, you know, to a lot of people who work full time. Sorry, if I bounce, he won't yell at us all. If just take a bunch of photos, like when you can, and in the morning, or even when you're whatever. And then if you, what do you want to do? Huh? You want to get down? You want to get down? Oh, I know you want to go to bed. And then use it when you can. You know, you head out for your lunch break, and now you're just posting your breakfast. Like, if that's what, but that keeps you like kind of interacting all day, I would say that is, you know, totally fine. Like a lot of times I'll take a bunch of stuff of my kids, but then I won't actually use any of it until when I know I kind of have a lull in the day. You know what I mean? I would suggest kind of doing it that way. You know, and kind of just having a game plan that as you go into your day, knowing that, okay, I'm going to do this. And then at lunch, I'm having, you know, this container lunch that I could use, and I can make this video in advance, and then I could use it that day or whatever. That'd be what I would do. And funny stuff. I mean, you're like in the midst of tax season, and like you are working. And so like funny tax memes are hysterical right now, you know? So like having stuff that you can just pull up and be like, yeah, it's been one of those days, tax meme or whatever, you know, would be probably pretty good too. Yeah. And then, Kaylee, would you say, like, if you know, for a lot of us who are like number people, for how many accounts would be good to, like if you're sitting down and you're like, okay, Power Hour is Instagram. This is when I'm going to spend the time on Instagram right now. And I'm going to 411 30 accounts or 20 accounts. And then I'm going to go and comment and like my already followers, like another 20 of them, or like, I don't know.
I think the most you can really hit in an hour is like 50, unless you're on super speed.
Okay.
Like, you would have to really like have something in your head like that you can comment easily to a lot of people to do it faster than that. Also, another point for stories, you want to be utilizing the fact that they allow you to put hashtags in your stories. And you can even, like, if you don't want it to look really messy, you can do a bunch of hashtags in the text. And I think you have to make sure you click over though, like they have to be underlined. And then you can even put them in a little spot of your story. And when you click on the text, you can blend them in. Either blend them in if the background is solid, or you can pinch the hashtags down really, 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 really small so that nobody can see that they're there, but they still register in the hashtag that you're using. And then anybody who's searching that hashtag, if your story populates there, they'll be brought to your page. So it's just another way to utilize hashtags within your stories. I think there's a limit to how many hashtags you're allowed to put. I don't know exactly what the number is offhand. I don't think you can put more than 10. It might be 5 even. That's like the max. And how do you put hashtags on every story you post? And do you, yeah, if you can put a hashtag on every story you post, the more the better. Like, it's better to do that because it's more chance of people finding your stories. But like I said, you can, if you pinch them down, you literally can make them like microscopic and nobody even knows that they're there, but they're still registering in Instagram. So it's useful, as well as like if it flows, like to put the location in a story too, that can populate also. Any other questions anyone can think of? There's like so much that can be taught on Instagram. It's hard to fit it all in.
Okay, what about other things like Triller and TikTok and all of those, when you're taking those and putting them obviously into stories, or even now I see a lot of TikTok in the feed.
So for my personal page, I posted a TikTok that was like not really that good, but on my on my Instagram, it got like 2,500 views, I think. So if it makes sense, definitely, and you can try to start pushing people to TikTok, because TikTok is just a lot easier to post stuff and hopefully like explode it. Like, I see the craziest stuff on there with millions and millions of views and likes. It's like insane. So I would definitely, like, I've been doing it on my personal page. I've been posting my TikToks and my stories and in my actual posts, and they've been doing much better on Instagram actually than on TikTok. So I think it does work.
What's your TikTok?
Well, my personal page is for my hobby, because I like to go to music festivals. So my Instagram and my TikTok is the Crazy Rave Chick. I gotta put it in here.
Did you go to Burning Man this year?
I didn't. Haven't been to Burning Man yet. Using hashtags, I type using the same color as the background so you can't see it. Just made it. Yeah, you can do that too. Like I said, if the photo that you're posting has like a spot where you can hide the hashtag, you can shrink them down and then blend them with the color so it doesn't look so messy.
No, you do it. Come on. Oh, you're such a walker. Sorry. Just learning how to walk today.
Aww.
I know, it's trying so hard.
That's a big day.
Oh wow, he can walk. He just refuses. He just oh, that's trash. Let's not put in there. And you guys, if you have any questions that come up after you're watching this, if you're catching this as like a recording, you can just send me the messages, and if I don't know how to answer them, then ask. I know. Anything else that we can help with, friends? And Brooks has a question. How come when I post photos and videos of me, I get so much attraction? Yeah. I did see a question the other day that I thought was a good question is, would you recommend being a business account, a personal account, which kind of account? Because I know if you want to have a business account in Instagram, then you have to have a Facebook, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now Instagram, don't you?
You used to have a business page, but I feel like I recently started another page and it didn't force me to make the Facebook page and continue without it. And that might be, I don't know if it was because I made a creator page. I would have to look into that. But like with my personal page, I didn't really want to have a business Facebook page. But I did create one, and I don't do anything on it. I made it purely to have a business account. I do think it's important to have a business account to see the insights. Though my personal page, I made it into a creator page. That's a third option. And I like that better just because it separates your direct messages. For me, I get like a lot of random people talking to me. So I separate them based on like brands that I'm working with or my actual friends versus like everybody else. So that's really the only feature account I find to be different than the business account. And that's what I have my page set on.
Got it.
But I definitely think it's better to have a business account. Do you know why when you type something? Once you post a letter, I don't know what you mean exactly.
I mean, so once I type something on my story, like I'll write something on the bottom of my photo, and then once I post it, the letters disappear.
I've heard of
And
this.
so
Yeah,
what I have
go
to
ahead.
do is before I post it, so what I do is before I post it, I save it. So that way, in case if it posts and the letters go away, I at least have that saved one. But then I have to go back and tag. If I'm tagging people, I have to go back and tag them. I just don't know why that always happens to me.
So when you click like text, like you just tap on it and you start typing, and then you go to post it.
And then when I go to post, it disappears. I think that happens to Joey too, because we talked about that. Is Joey? I don't know if she's in here. Is she on here?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I don't know if it was
I've never
Joey.
heard of that happening. I would have to like Google and see if anybody else experienced that.
It just would save me a lot of time because I have to either repost it because I'm like, oh, what I was trying to say, doesn't get put out there is what I'm trying to share, just the photo post. So what I'm having to do is like before I post it, I save it and then I go back and post it. So at least when it saves, it shows the letters. It's just a lot of time consuming. I was just wondering.
I wonder if when you're clicking it, no, because it usually defaults to white text. You would see it at some point. Yeah.
And then I thought like maybe to highlight it, because you know how you can highlight like your words that you write. I thought, well, maybe if I do that, it won't go away. But then it happens a lot to me. So I have to figure out why. It would just save me a lot of time. That's why.
Do you do this isn't working, Letty?
No, I haven't messaged them Instagram.
I do that all the time.
Okay.
I just like keep saying like when things aren't working, I just keep saying this isn't working, and I'll just do it daily until they reply or until it gets fixed.
Yeah, because I remember talking to Joey, it would happen to her too, of why the letters go away. Because I think one time I did my transformation and I wrote letters across like my stomach and everything, and then when I posted, they weren't there. I was like, oh man. I did it.
Yeah, I would just keep telling Instagram that something's not working, and a lot of times they will fix it.
Yeah. Okay. I just thought maybe she knew. Thank you.
No, I'm sorry. I've never experienced that. That would drive me nuts.
Yeah, it drives me nuts.
Okay, anything else before we wrap this up? Okay, I'm just wrapping up. I'll come out. Oh, I'm whispering. Okay, well, anything else? No. Well, thank you for being here. I know it's so late for you, although there's a lot of East Coasters on this call, so you all
No, it's okay.
You're all my heroes. I would never hang. It's 8:00 and I'm like, and time to wind down. So I appreciate you being on this call and sharing all the goods. And I hope you guys took some things away and have a plan of attack. One little thing I would, that helps me a lot in just organizing hashtags and having a game plan. I use the text replacement a ton. I don't know if you guys use that. I know I've gone over it before, but I feel like that is such a time saver. In your settings on your phone, you can create your 30 set hashtags or whatever, and then I just have them all labeled like IGH1, IGH2, IGH3, IGH4, and I think I have like 15 of them. And you could even do it differently. You could be like IGH food or IGH transformation, and I just Instagram hashtag. That's what the IGH is. And do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, there's also an app called Caption Writer. Caption Writer. It lets you though space, like if you like to write long things, it lets you do the spacing and then keep the hashtags, and it actually counts out the hashtags you're using, so you're not using too many. So I use that app too.
That's good to know. Caption, what do you call it?
Writer.
Caption Writer?
Yeah, Caption Writer. Yeah.
Okay,
I think there might be like a small one-time fee, but it's not that much, and I use it all the time. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like that in itself is saving, just to know, like, I can type in here and not have it all look like one big bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Or all these periods or all these things. Yeah. Drives me.
Yeah, when I found it, I was like, oh.
There's also one if you want to like change fonts too.
I haven't found that one yet, but I know I see everybody using that font changer.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I highly recommend having your Instagram hashtags that easily accessible, because the point of the hashtag is to get it up instant, right? Like you post, you do your hashtag, so that otherwise you kind of lose the timing of it all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. See you later. Bye. All right, girly girls. Anything else? Anyone else? Questions? You're all muted. So if any of you are talking, I can't hear you. Oh, bye. You're saying goodbye.
I have a question.
You have a question.
Yeah.
What you got?
So for filters on Instagram, like is there anything you should, like, do you use anything more, like, do you like use an app for filters, or do you just use their little set ones that they have?
Every photo I use, I run through Snapseed. It's just the same. I've used it forever. I know there's a lot of like, what are they called?
Filters.
Presets out there. Unfortunately, I'm not very smart and have yet to figure out. I'm pretty sure I've purchased 1 million of them, and they'll just sit in the thing. And I know it's easy, but I feel like I just refuse to learn. And I like that. So I run it through. That's a lie. I run it through an airbrush app, because there's a filter in there called and again, it's just what you prefer, right? Like I really like bright white, like when my hair is really white, and I just like that look across my feed.
Yeah.
And that's my storefront. So that's what I go for. So bright and tan is basically my two things. So I run it through the airbrush app under, I can't even think of what it's called, but one of my children has my phone because they're listening to songs. And then I run it through Snapseed on all of my photos.
Okay. So the airbrush app, it's just called airbrush.
App. Okay. And I will look it up, and I will.
Isn't that in Snapseed?
No.
Oh, it's a separate.
Actually, its own app. Airbrush first, and then I put the filter on, and then I run it through Snapseed, because Snapseed has Andy, what's the name of that one tool under Snapseed that makes it?
You like to use the Iceland, right? Under modern,
Thank you. Iceland under, and again, you don't have to use mine. There's so many, like there's some that are a lot warmer. I feel like mine I like Barbie pinks and blues and things. So that's kind of what I go. That's just me. So that's what I go for. But
And then you use the drama under Snapseed.
thank you. That's what it's called. So under Snapseed, you go to tools, and there's a button called drama, and there's four different ones. The very first one makes all your muscles start looking really accentuated, but I like
Boom, that's what I need.
I mean, you literally look ripped. If you look at any of my 80-day obsession, I'm pretty sure every photo I took was all through that feed. And I'm are these my muscles? Like, or are they just like manufactured in this photo? But I think they are. It just helps them look popping, you know?
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
When you're showing it, see, you might have an issue with filters, but here's the deal. Like, I show up in a live video looking, you can't fake that. You can't even add a filter if you tried. So, you know, it's like people know, and I even will make a post about it just to make myself feel better and be like, yeah, I use a filter. Like, you won't stop and look at my feed unless I did. So
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's twofold. You know, the haters are going to say like, yeah, you know, are using a filter. And it's like, well, yeah, but if you wouldn't even look at my photo if it wasn't filtered. So, you know,
Okay.
damned if you do, you damned if you don't. It's kind of how I see it.
Okay.
And you can YouTube like quick tutorials on Snapseed, or Lightroom is another one. And then a lot of people sell presets on Etsy. Like, I bought presets for like $5 for Lightroom, and then they're just in there. So like, because I'm a night owl, a lot of times I'm like, oh, really need to change the photo, and I really like Lightroom for that. And I bought presets on there for like $5 from Etsy.
Wow.
So if you YouTube, like, then you're just going to give yourself a quick tutorial on like how to edit photos in like 5 to 10 minutes. Not editing the photo. I mean, a YouTube video that's 5 to 10 minutes. Learn about the app and go, okay, I can navigate. I like how Snapseed works, or VSCO, or Lightroom, or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. And just play with it, you know, play with what you like. You can even like post a couple in the team page and be like, hey, what catches your eye more?
Okay. That's a good idea.
That's kind of really what you want, right? Like, you want someone to say like, wow, that's a really good. I do think I took away a lot from the sense of like, don't overpost in Instagram. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think people expect it. I feel like if you are going to post like a ton of memes or quotes or whatever, maybe save those for Facebook and just do like your quality one to two posts a day. If you're using IGTV, that can take up a square, because now that's the only way to post to IGTV is through your feed, through your page. Right?
Okay.
I think you still have the option to post it to your feed or not. I have been, because I feel like nobody's going to go to my IGTV until I actually put like consistent content there. That was just my thinking, but I think you have the option. I don't think it has to be a square.
Got it. I don't know why I thought you had to. I think because for a minute there, I couldn't, it wouldn't work. Like the little IGTV box was gone in my world, but maybe it's back and I just didn't notice.
You mean to post to IGTV? What do you mean?
To post to IGTV.
You have to click the search button, and then it's one of the little things at the top. There was one day they must have done an update, because I was like, how do I post to my IGTV? And it took me forever to find it. But that's how.
Okay, that's how.
Because it used to be when you went to your own page, it was on there somewhere.
Mine used to just be on the top, like right on when you're like looking at Instagram. It was like right up, there was a little TV, and you just click the TV, and then you could add.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, now you have to click the search button at the bottom, the hourglass or the magnifier.
Yeah.
And then it's an option at the top, like above any posts that pop up in the Explorer page. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it says IGTV.
Got it. Good to know.
Can I ask a weird, crazy question? Like a mom question?
Oh, I owe you a message. It's literally on my list today.
It's okay. No, it's fine. I'll ask it in here. I figured I would ask it in here.
This is a great place to ask.
So as I go to make my accounts public, which I know is like the next step. So my curiosity is, you know, how do I keep my family safe? Because like Kaylee was saying, you really could just turn your personal page into your fitness page, because people want to see relationally. I think, Andy, you said like people related to you. So on breastfeeding or postpartum or whatever. And so that's why they decided to follow you and have you be their coach. So I kind of want to do like an intermixing of like personal and fitness, but like, how do I keep, like, has anybody had any problems with security issues? Like, I don't know, how do I go public and also keep my family safe to be?
I think this is a good question because it gets brought up all the time. I think every month when we have a new coach training, somebody asks this question because it's a relevant question. The way I think about it is like, I don't post, if I tag a location, I never tag it when I'm actually still there. It's normally after the fact. One thing that I recently thought about is being careful not to tag my kids' school because it's not necessary for me to do that. And I just, so I think about things like that. But the reality is two things. If you're not set to public, there's no way to expand this business, unfortunately. Right. And the relatability, I think, just isn't there if you're only running a fitness page and that's all you talk about. I think that's right. A harder leap because you don't have the brand backing, like it's different for big brands because that's all they're selling, but you're selling you're not selling Beachbody, So I think just being mindful of how and when you post when your kids are in it to,
okay,
to keep them safe. But I've never had anything scary happen or even remotely scary or any weird messages. People don't talk about my kids. I've never had like anybody say anything about my kids, nothing like that.
Okay.
I mean, I'll say for me, because mine are separate, and I didn't post my kids for a long time on my fitness page, because I have a personal Instagram and then I have a fitness Instagram, and I have gotten better at integrating them. And of course they're in my stories because they're just like around. Not to say I just got over it, but it's like, that's not what my page is about. It's not about my kids. Yes, I homeschool. Yes, they're there. Yes, I posted when we dressed up for Chick-fil-A Day, like with my kids. And like Andy said, it was, after the fact, or my location isn't always there. But I still feel like I talk about other parts of my life, but that for me, it's worked really well. And the only reason what I'm saying about all this is to say, when I was ready and I had like, a grid of like, I don't know how long you've been a coach, Cassie, but like I had my grid ready, then I shared it and said, hey people, come follow me over here. And a lot of them did. And a lot of the girls did, not a lot of my, my husband's boss and stuff. They're not following my fitness page.
Right.
But it was like, oh, they wanted more of that. And then it was nice. And it is still nice that they're there, so that's worked for me really well. Where yes, of course, if I do post a family photo, it gets a lot more likes, but anyways, for me, it's always been a separation, and I like it that way, but it's not like I hide them. Like before it would only be a hand, or like whatever. But again, I've never had anything scary, and I don't have the creepers because you can see who's liking things and looking at things.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I think that's another thing, like, the way that you're working to expand is going to be with probably other moms. It's probably going to be your big market. So like, in fact, I was just going through and unfollowing people and just kind of taking a little inventory while she was talking. And there's very few men on my account. And anytime I do get a comment from a guy, I always block them anyways, even if it's not like a weird comment. Like, I don't need you in my social media. So,
okay.
I don't
know. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Anything else, girls? I hope this was helpful. I feel like this is the burning question. For me, I asked her, like, I want to know numbers. Like, what do I need to be doing every day? Because I have been feeling like I'm just, like, being loosey-goosey with how to expand lately because I've just been feeling like I don't know if that is what's working. So having somebody like her say, do this and aim for this many accounts is what I was wanting to know. So I hope that that's helpful for you girls too. And I do think it's going to be important that we all take the time to find those right hashtags. I always use the hashtag boy mom as an example. Like, you're going to be buried if you use hashtag boy mom because everybody else is. But I love how she taught about using that feature to go find the relatable tags and just shrink it down to a smaller market or smaller, not as overused, and then going and looking at that hashtag to make sure that's not oversaturated. And keep in mind, because you post fitness stuff, the way the algorithm works is you're more likely to see if there's any coaches or fitness people on those because you talk about fitness. Does that make sense? And I learned this because I logged into a friend of mine account because I was just curious, and she has nothing to do with Beachbody. And I went to the same hashtag on her account. I didn't see any Beachbody coaches. I didn't see any fitness people. It just looked like normal moms. I went to that same hashtag under my account, and it was flooded with coaches. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. It's like they know what you're interested in and what you're posting about. So that's going to populate. So keep that in mind too when you're looking for these things. It kind of makes it easy to try to weed out the ones that are inundated with coaches already, if you think about it. But I want to encourage everybody to spend the time, and I'm going to also this week finding new hashtags. Like, we all need a starting point, and we all need to keep each other accountable. Like, let's not just let this training go and be like, okay, that all sounds great. Like, let's take action on this. So, let's say by Friday, let's share in the team page, raise your hand if you have at least one set of hashtags ready to go. Does that sound good?
Yes.
In the name of accountability.
I need new hashtags. I feel like I've been using the same ones forever.
Yeah. And there definitely is something to the smaller hashtag banks. So years ago, when I hired a service to help build my Instagram, I paid for hashtags from them. I paid for I don't remember what it was, 150 hashtags or something. And I didn't use them consistently. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you. Some of them are very weird. I think I got this list back and I was like, wow, these are wacky. So I didn't really do anything with it. But about a month ago, I found them in the notes in my phone, and I was like, I'm just going to start using this, see what happens. And a lot of them are nurse related because that was one of the things I told the people that it's about me. And I feel like I'm starting to see more likes from nurses on my feed that aren't coaches or fitness people. So there is something to those smaller hashtag banks, if you know what I mean. I think they do work. So if it pops up a related one that seems a little bit weird, but it only has, 20,000 posts or 30,000 posts or something like that, it could be valuable to you. If it's something that describes you and you go and look and you see who's posting to it and what kind of posts they are, it could be very valuable. So just saying. Does anybody else have any questions or comments or anything? No. Okay. Well, same time, same place next Tuesday. Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you.
No. Next week is tribe call.
Oh, that's right.
Next week, we are going to invite all of our tribe to join us, and we're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about? Water? Containers?
Something good. I think we talk about containers. I think we talk about nutrition stuff. The nitty-gritty on nutrition.
Okay.
So what we are brainstorming out loud right here is we really want to be more consistent with having one call a month that's dedicated to our challengers as a way for them to get to know us better and just better serve them. And I think, we're all on the fitness journey, not just the business journey. So it'll be helpful for everybody. And we plan to have a specific topic to talk about. So we're always open to suggestions on what that topic could be. And even if your people aren't in tribe, we want to encourage you to invite your challengers to this call. Is that the third Tuesday? The third Tuesday of every month. Instead of a team call, we'll have what we're calling a tribe call. So for all coaches and all challengers to come and learn and glean and be in community.
Yeah. hopefully our goal is like to show them community so that they want to be a part even on a deeper level of our coaching community, so to speak, and just to give one extra like level of value to our challengers. So yeah. All right, well, onward.
Thanks for getting on, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for hosting that, guys.
You're welcome. Welcome. Good night. Sleep tight.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night. Bye.